leader of the group that played out at Park Avenue. We got fired, and then the new group beat us up.
So what?
I need you to get rid of them. Get my job back. If you do, I'll join up with you. It's just one thing you gotta know. They're all black belts in taekwondo, and they're pretty bad. If you get my job back for me, any money I make is yours.
It's that damn band again.
Welcome to Second Class Cinema, the show where we watch a B movie and then immediately discuss it. It's immediate. We came in here and started doing it.
I'm going to see how long I can make you do this for before I say anything.
I'm Tom. I'm here with Brittany, Eric, and special guest Aaron.
How's it going, Aaron?
Good.
Welcome.
Like you're about to say my last name, and then you just stopped.
What is
No
it?
one else got a last name, so I'm not giving one to you.
All right.
Sometimes Tom says his own when he feels like it.
Yeah, I think I did it a couple times.
Hate you, Tom.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I ruined it for you. So we just got off of watching the lovely film Miami Connection.
Oh, yeah.
To kick off Cult Month for us, low-hanging fruit. You know, we did a really popular movie and a really good one, too. A really good one to watch. So let's start off with Aaron. And kind of what's your experience with B-movies? You know, what's your thing?
B-movies to me have always been my earliest education in film. It's what showed me what does work, what doesn't work, and sometimes if you take a risk, something will turn out great, and if you don't, or if you take a risk and it doesn't work out so great, sometimes it could still be entertaining anyway.
Yeah.
So like our film tonight.
Yes, exactly right. Let's talk about why we chose Miami Connection tonight. And it was my selection. I know Aaron was a big fan of this movie. You actually showed me this movie. You're the first one to tell me about it. And that's why I picked it, because it's a really good one.
You picked it because Aaron told you.
Well, no. I picked it because it's a good one, and it was told to me by Aaron, and so I figured it would be great to have Aaron come on and watch it with us.
It's a good plan.
I think my first experience with this movie was the poster.
Oh,
which is this beautifully airbrushed piece of like magenta and teal nonsense with this beardy guy on the front doing his karate stance. As we find out, that's one of the main bad guys, Jeff. And just this thing is crazy. It's got ninjas. It's got neon lights. It's got motorcycles. It's got bikers. It does have bikers.
It's everything you would ever wish
Oh,
an
it's
80s
phenomenal.
movie
What-
poster to be.
What it feels like is an 8-year-old's dream of everything that's badass. Ninjas and bikers
Oh, yeah.
and rock bands.
Taekwondo.
Sleeveless shirt.
Taekwondo. I mean, well, it's yeah. It's a 8-year-old's dream poster movie.
No one ever said 8-year-olds have bad taste.
That's for sure, man.
It's true, I guess.
It had that vibe. What's it about, by the way? Let's just get that out there on the table. Let's just say what it's about.
Damn good question. So this movie is about 5 student orphan rock star taekwondo masters. I'm being serious. I'm trying to give it a completely objective.
Ninja Orphan Rockers is what I
Ninja
wrote.
orphan rockers who
It sounds so ridiculous when you say it out
who
loud.
recently got a job working at a club, but through no fault of their own, they find themselves entangled in the local ninja biker nightclub
Cocaine.
scene, and now they have to fight their way to freedom or something. Now, in my head, it made a lot more sense earlier when I was actually thinking about an objective way to explain this film, and I realized that when you say it out loud, you sound like a fucking nut.
The only link holding this movie together is that one bearded guy does not want his sister dating
Yes.
the guy from Dragon Sound, which is the band that the Ninja Orphan Rockers have together. That's the only string tying this whole plot together.
It's absolutely true.
They have absolutely nothing else in common. No other like mutual character interactions with like the ninjas from the beginning and the end. That's it.
They stole the spot from the other band.
Which I believe were entangled with the bikers.
Exactly right.
Oh, they got the bikers entangled with them because they wanted the bikers to get rid of Dragon Sound so the old band could have their job back.
Oh, it's paper
They
thin.
bit off more than they could chew. This is really just Dante's Inferno.
This is a complex plot.
It is a complex
Kinda
plot.
is, yeah.
And it did not come across.
No, what it did after
Nah.
like the 80th viewing.
Yeah, so I've seen this movie a couple
Yeah.
times. Aaron, you've seen this movie a ton.
I've seen this film at least 20 times.
No
joke.
My third or fourth viewing.
It was my third. Yeah.
I think it was my third, but this is the first time I've been sober watching this.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah. This is the
Congratulations.
First time I've been sober hanging out with Aaron. First time I've been sober on the podcast.
Yeah, Eric's okay now.
He's turned a new leaf.
I got my 5-minute chip. I'm ready to go.
So the plot had a difficult time coming across. So let's just segue into maybe some of the missteps the movie had in general. What do we think? As much as we enjoyed this movie, where do we think it took a misstep?
Oh, the acting was so wooden and terrible from so many parties involved. But I don't imagine that they had a gigantic budget or anything, or that they were hiring seasoned actors. I feel like they just hired some people who thought it might be fun, and then they made this movie.
And
So I can't fault them too much, I guess.
yeah, but it wasn't great acting.
But some of the acting was terrible. That one guy, what's his name? The
Jim.
guy with the dad. Jim?
Jim.
Oh, Jim, yeah.
Jim, when he's like crying about his dad, that was the worst crying I've ever seen. I wrote it in my notebook. I wrote LOL, worst crying scene. And then I wrote LOL like 47 more times because it was so gosh awful. It's like, it ruined my life. My dad.
I particularly like the framing of that particular scene because it's the four guys behind him, and he's in the foreground, and you got the four guys behind him, and it just looks like
in the foreground, but off to the side.
Off to the side, but it looks like the old Ed Sullivan show. Whenever they would have a musician on, it looks like a doo-wop group. You got the guy out front, and you got the guys in the back going ooh,
or he's just having like a monologue that nobody else can hear.
So it always feels like whenever he's stepping forward that he's going to go into a solo.
It was so bad.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments in this movie where someone would explain a very interesting story of their family, or like like how their family fucked their life up completely.
Yeah, this movie
there was a lot of family issues.
It was rife with family troubles.
A lot.
Family Matters, if you will.
Starring Reginald Val Johnson.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I guess that's not really a misstep, but I just thought that was kind of weird.
I was just saying the acting.
Yeah, no, I took it to another level. Anyone else got anything they want to put on the table as far as what they did not like about this movie?
You know what? I'm going to go and say that the music was great, and I'll say that as part of successes, but the music thematically usually was completely wrong.
Like the usage of the music?
Yeah, like not necessarily like the rock and soundtrack parts, but like the incidental music was always like, it had like this weird glacial like synth pop feeling, and it never fit because it was always like emotionally tense, whether or not it was supposed to be. It felt very strange. Sometimes it worked, but most of the time they just threw it in wherever.
Yeah.
Very odd.
It seems like one of those, let's just roll the dice and...
Yeah, like...
track number 63.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was kind of mismatched because this movie had the emotional intensity of, like, cooked pasta. It was certainly mismatched.
So, I mean, I struggled to find something I really, truly did not like about this movie. I really struggled. I mean... I know a lot of it was just not good, but I honestly struggle to find something that I would call just really bad. Because I enjoyed it so much, so I'm having a hard time, so I need your help.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Even with the music thing, I'm stretching a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that it's not to sound like too much of a film theory nerd here, but structurally, it is just the most fucked up thing on earth. So just to give you an idea, the film begins with an ultra-violent scene of ninjas slaughtering a group of
Coke
gangsters
dealers.
or
Cocaine dealers.
And then
Guidos, if you
immediately,
will.
immediately followed by the opening credits, which shows some bikers riding around, which then immediately is followed by a 4.5 minute music number, which when you watch it for the first time, you only after that music number do you realize that the musicians are our heroes. So we were given no context. At this point, you were given no context. All that you know about Miami is that everyone gets killed for having cocaine. You ride around on your motorcycle and you go and you watch musicians at the club at night.
And you already knew that that about
Yeah,
Miami.
we are 20 minutes. We are 20 minutes into the film right now, and we know nothing. And
Wait, you do know that if you're in a band, you have to wear a T-shirt with your band's name on
that
it.
that too.
Oh, yeah.
If
That
this movie
too.
taught me anything.
But the
Love
structure and pacing the structure and pacing of this film is just so wildly fucked up. And famously went back for reshoots for the ending, which they reshot, which makes it even more fucked up. So it is it's like a.
like the final ninja scene.
No, the
fight?
final in the hospital was a reshoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they put that in after the fact because apparently this alternate ending that we watched before we watched the movie actually
Don't spoil it.
was tragic.
Was that the original ending?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
When
that-
you guys said
yeah.
alternate, I was just
Oh,
like,
well, it's alternate.
they made this other ending and didn't use it because it was ridiculous.
No, it's alternate to the actual ending, but it's not the original. Whatever. Anyway,
I'd
In
say
an alternate universe, it was the real ending.
the alternate ending I would say is going to be a risk, and I'll bring that up a little later.
Oh, definitely.
the ultimately the plot. The structure of the film feels like you're in a car with the transmission dying, where you're going and then it just stops. It moves forward a bit, and then you slow down. You come to a stop. You wait and hope that all the problems go away, and you start driving again. It drives fine for about 30 seconds, and boom, 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 and it's just a mess.
Yeah, the beginning of this movie and the end of this movie are bookended with extreme violence, and the middle of it is not that violent at all. So I would say that goes with the structure. It kind of failed. You know, I don't know what they were thinking.
They were hungry
Well, the
for a
film
violent
is violent,
sandwich.
but it's not bloody violent.
Yeah.
And so there's constantly people just kicking the shit out of each other.
That's true, I guess, because the beginning and the end had the huge ninja fights with swords, and they got bloody. So I guess I'll buy it. I'll give this movie a break wherever I can.
But yeah, none of what we mentioned, if I can call us being nitpicky, I guess I will, even though it's a little extreme. But none of this affected my overall love or enjoyment of this movie.
Well, here's another problem with this movie.
I have zero qualms.
Here's another problem with it, even though I could care less. There was a ton of out-of-focus stuff used just because they had to, I feel like. But they just shot so much. I don't know. Maybe they didn't plan it out right, and people were moving in and out of the focus. But whoever was doing it just wasn't following them, and they ended up just using so much of out-of-focus material.
Just shot it once and rolled with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think no. I'd like to think it, but I don't know
This
about
movie
it.
was better than Back from Hell, so they had to have at least.
Way better than Back from Hell. Way better.
Shot choices were terrible. First off, the way it was shot was pretty terrible because there was no structure. There's no plotting for area. So a lot of these fights are happening, and they could have just happened in 50 different states. For all we know, they could just happen anywhere.
At one point, we were like, "Are they in New Orleans?"
Nothing looks like Miami. I mean, we're in New Orleans for the film, which is kind of half the joke about the film anyway. I mean, if you know anything about it, but you still don't know where the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Well,
the
it's-
only thing that looks like Miami is the beach scene.
Yeah, it's true.
That's about
yeah,
it.
and that could be in Maine.
And that could be anywhere, exactly. Yeah.
Anywhere that allows you to drive your car onto the sand.
Yeah, Maine.
Yeah. Yeah, so Miami Connection, Orlando, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana.
I know. I love how it just opens with outside of Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando, Florida. Oh, all right.
I thought it was Miami, but maybe I'm wrong.
Orlando is the Miami Connection. So let's talk about stuff we liked about it. Let's talk
Besides everything.
Let's talk about the successes, the true successes, before we move on to favorite parts. So what did this movie do right, and maybe it's not quite knowing what it was doing?
Dragon Sound was awesome.
They are fanatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I can't say anything bad about Dragon Sound.
The original soundtrack that was written for this movie, awesome 80s music.
It's really great. Yeah.
It's fantastic stuff.
It's in your head and it just burrows and lives there and you can never get it out.
And apparently the guy who wrote the music in this movie is the guy who played our mustachioed mulleted friend, right? Who is a part of Dragon Sound. Who's
Jack, Jim,
Tom.
John,
Tom.
one of those dudes.
Tom. It's Tom.
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 Come on. But no, that guy can really shred a guitar.
Not that.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked really good, and he's obviously the only
I
one.
wouldn't go that far.
No, he did. He looked really good playing.
By comparison,
It's like poor YK Kim. because he tried so hard to pretend to play
No,
guitar.
he didn't try that hard. That's
No,
the
he
problem.
did. He did though. That's I feel like he really tried.
I don't know. He's a talented martial artist. I think he could do better than that.
He was too busy like putting his feet on people's faces.
Yeah, he was really, really preoccupied with that. He just couldn't focus on his guitar playing.
Entire set list, just like kicking people in the face.
So, what other successes did this movie have, which made it better than maybe should have been?
The movie is brutally honest. It is. It's just there's not a cynical bone in its body, and anytime it reaches a point of cynicism, especially with what is now the alternate ending. Again, not spoiling anything. It's never cynical in its approach. It's always it reminds me of just an inbred puppy that it just looks at you with those big dull
So
eyes.
optimistic.
Oh yeah, you just go like, you are the dumbest goddamn thing on the face of this motherfucking earth, and I'm gonna pet the hell out of you because I love you so much. But it's just a movie that just wants so badly to show you that good is always the best thing in the world, and that you take care of yourself and you take care of others, and if you're a good person, then good things will happen to you.
It has a lot of heart.
You
It
watched
has-
too
it
much
has-
New American Dream.
Oh, I was going to mention that. Yeah, we started this movie before we started watching the movie. We watched some other, I guess they were infomercials by YK Kim, the lead actor in this film.
Nobody knows.
Who knows what they were? They might have been a Scientologist like introductory video, I'm not
Propaganda
sure.
video.
Yeah,
Date unknown.
After this, I'm gonna get my there was Thetans checked.
Yeah,
Yep.
there we go. But like, obviously, YK Kim is trying to sell something in these videos, but like, I kind of felt like he was being genuine about it. I didn't feel like he was a shyster.
No,
That
I
makes
don't
any
think so
sense.
either. He
And-
seems like a legit dude.
Yeah, I think that comes through in this movie too. Like, he's a very genuine person. He you know, he tore his way up from the bottom, and he's on top now, and he wants to share that success with you. And you can be positive and do taekwondo and fight the ninjas.
Eric, you sound like a shyster now.
Yeah, why do you
He
think I'm
wants to
dressed?
share that with you.
Why do you think I'm dressed like this? Look at me.
Pyramid scheme.
You
Selling
can't,
the New American Dream.
You can't see Eric right now, but he's wearing his gold lame suit.
It's got 7 buttons.
I don't know why he wears it. It's the only thing I've ever seen him wear.
The only article of clothing I wear.
Yeah, it's the only.
I have
article
10 of
clothing
these.
you own.
It's
Oh.
thanks to the New American Dream.
Oh no.
But yeah, kind of coming off what you were saying about it being like just crazily optimistic, I actually felt like the script or the dialogue was a strength because it was just so like unassuming and innocent and just optimistic. It was impossible to hate it, even though some of it was so outlandish and ridiculous and just
Everything was on the surface with all of these characters.
Oh, yeah.
completely.
Like
No
right
doubt.
there, man. They said everything that they felt, everything that they wanted. It was said out loud, and so everyone could hear it.
Which is so weird because some movies, what were we doing last week? We did Girlfriend from Hell.
Yeah.
We were talking about how they just tried to cram like 50,000 things into one movie and it did not work.
Yes.
But it totally works in this movie. And I don't know, I mean, I'm sure someone can explain the differences, but I cannot. It seems like magic to me.
you know
Like,
what?
why does it work for them and it doesn't work for
Because
anybody
this
else?
one was like, what are we going to have in this movie? Ninjas! What are we going to have in this movie? Bikers! Like, does it really fit? No, but they're in there anyway.
Yeah.
We'll make
Like,
it work.
I was going to take a stab at it, but I think you just nailed it. Like, Girlfriend from Hell throws a bunch of concepts that have not really been in too many movies and just came out of nowhere and were very poorly explained. Whereas this has ninjas, we understand them. Bikers, we understand them. Karate guy, yeah, I got it.
Dude, I can wrap my head around cocaine.
Yeah, see, you got it. Like, these are all very simple themes that were so prevalent in 80s cinema. It's built in. We understand it without any explanation.
It's true, but we usually talk shit about like films that just drop so much exposition on you. It's just like such a lazy way to develop your
This
plot.
film,
But
you have to watch multiple times in order to pull any exposition out of it.
Exactly. You're like, wait, what? Her parents like died, and then she had to live with her awful brother. Okay, I got it. Not relevant to the movie at all, but missed it the first 4 times.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with a lot of movies like this. I mean, Back from Hell's the same thing. I think it took me like 3, 4, 5 times to watch Back from Hell to understand, like, oh my God, I just have to listen. And they tell me everything. Okay,
It's
fair
true.
enough.
We do spend a good portion of these movies just like laughing at it, and I feel like sometimes that does get in the way of things, but
A little bit. I mean, but hey, the movie did it to itself, right?
yeah, not like they're ever really
Oh, yeah, there we
like
go.
gold mines of things you need to hear.
It rarely pays off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to rewind and point out that Tom just blamed the victim.
Tom, you monster.
It's what I do best.
Oh, it's our own damn fault.
So are we going to talk about the alternate ending? Can we do that?
I don't know, guys. Can we?
Are we allowed? Because
We
I want
haven't
to.
gave a fuck about spoilers till now, so
Oh, okay.
why would we
Yeah,
do
good
it now?
No, we spoil everything.
All right.
So we could go and talk
That's
about
true,
the
I guess you
alternate.
do.
Alternate. Oh, everything.
Well, I mean, if you're going to review a movie, you can't review a movie and not talk about it.
Fair enough.
Well, then let's talk about the alternate ending. And let's move right on to risks then. The original ending to this movie, the one that they shot for first, a complete failure. They had been attacked by these ninjas. Jim dies. And then they go back and scream in the swamp. And then they cut to credits, man.
No, wait, doesn't a plane fly over?
Yeah, the
Oh,
plane
it has Jim's father.
dad.
Yeah, Jim's
Oh, yes.
father just landed in Miami as Jim takes his last breath.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, Jim's father is on that plane." And
So
then
really,
movie ends.
the biggest tragedy is that Jim's father is going to have to sit in the airport.
There's no one to pick him up.
he is the true victim of this whole thing.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'd say that was a risk, man. They made this taekwondo, let's be a family and do something together, and then let's help each other, and then now one of us is gonna die.
It's all horseshit.
Yeah, it's for nothing because it doesn't matter because we're gonna die.
Yeah, the movie takes on a much different tone with that ending.
It really does, and I'm glad we watched it before we even watched the rest of the movie so I could get put in the good mood that the new ending gets me.
Oh, I'd be bummed out if we watched the alternate ending last.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. Would be a risk. Anyone else have any other risks?
We've gone over this, but how this movie is just bookended with brutal violence.
Yeah.
Like, my memory of this, I don't remember this movie being so violent last time we watched it. And like, obviously, it's a martial arts film at its core. But the martial arts is kind of doofy. It's just like people getting hit with like pipes and at worst. But then, like, I just remember, like, the beginning of the movie has, like, that violent shootout and, like, there's people being cut down with swords and same thing at the end.
Yeah.
Like, a ninja gets decapitated, and it's so ridiculously out of place, like, for, like, the actual tone of the movie.
Yep.
It feels, like, schizophrenic. It's very strange. I don't know. It doesn't seem like any of that should be in this movie, but I kind of like it.
Well, I mean, it didn't escalate to that. It started with it.
Yeah.
It cooled off, and then it just ramped right up back to
It just goes
really hard
crazy.
violence again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know if that was intentional. Maybe I don't even know if they realized what they did.
I think that they wanted to. I think somewhere in the script writing book that they probably read when they wrote this, it said like begin with something big, end with something big, and I think that that's how they either read it literally, or rather than figuratively. So at the beginning you have a big shootout, at the end you have a big sword fight and all that. Risk I would add to this is that again it is just violent throughout. I mean, you have violence at the beginning and end, but it's just constant fights throughout the whole film. And granted, it is a kung fu film, but at the same time, coming back to how innocent the film is, who is this film directed at? I mean, it seems like they
we were talking about this.
They made this film, but they made a film specifically for themselves, which is great. That's what you should do. But in as far as marketing something, this is extremely hard to market in a serious way, in an unironic way, because who's going to watch this? I mean, the film is about these certain things, but mom and dad are not going to go find a babysitter on Friday night to go watch the movie with the ninjas and the bikers and the cocaine
And the orphans.
and the orphans. It's just such a strange film in that. Who is this for? What audience are we trying to reach? It's too violent for children, but it's pretty dumb for adults. So
Yeah. I think it was just a YK long con. I think he made this movie in '87, and he was like, dude, by 2015, this thing's going to be a fucking goldmine.
In 2015, there are going to be hipsters.
you're hell-bent on this long con, aren't you?
I am, dude. He's good, and he fucking played us.
Is it still going? Is the con still going?
Oh, no, he's cashing in on it
Oh,
now.
okay, all right.
Yeah, and this is the
Thank God.
cash-in time, yeah.
If
No,
I had to hold my breath for this con anymore, I'd.
we're in the clear now. Yeah, he's done. He's done.
We've been had.
Oh, yeah, we've already been had.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, so I guess we can move on to favorite parts.
Wait,
Yay.
there's one more thing I want to clear up before we get favorite parts out of the way.
sure.
All right,
Did we ever
let's clear the air.
establish the statute of limitations on being an orphan?
No, we didn't put that in place.
because they're like 33 and they're still orphans, and I don't get it.
They're like an orphan
Well, you could be
band.
an orphan.
Like
You could be-
once is like once
Yeah.
an orphan, you're always
Yeah.
an orphan.
Well,
No,
Yeah.
because I feel like when you have to shed that orphan
Being
skin,
Portuguese.
you know, like I'm not an orphan. I don't know. So I mean, I don't know. It's you eventually you're not an orphan anymore. You're an
Well,
adult.
you know what
you
it is,
could
though?
grow up orphan. So like, you could say, later on when you have a family, oh, kids, I grew up. I don't have
An
a grandmother,
orphan.
grandfather. I grew up an orphan.
Yeah, I was an orphan.
Yeah,
I was an orphan.
yeah, it was. I think once you establish a family of some sort,
I guess it's relative to the person who's lonely to whether or not they want to call themselves an orphan.
seriously, yeah.
No, it just made sense. I have to put myself in their shoes.
That makes
right.
sense.
I understand.
I could dig it. Favorite parts.
Yeah.
I'd like to also point out they still technically live in an orphanage because it's a house full of orphans.
One house, 5 orphans.
Oh, that's a sitcom they made right after this one. So favorite parts then. Eric.
Ooh, okay. So this is going to be tough for me because there's a lot of good stuff in here.
It's true. This movie is pretty easy to pluck from.
Okay, so I think my favorite overall thing in this movie, the Jeff, the guy with no chin.
Wait. Jeff is the bad
Oh wait,
guy
no, not
brother.
Jeff, not Jeff. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my names here. John? Yeah, John. Yeah, Earthworm John.
Correct.
Whenever John is like angry and intense, he just grimaces and goes, "Argh!" And this happens several times in the movie, but the best part is he is climbing a ladder to chase after Jeff during a street fight, and he's going, "Argh!" and Jeff just kicks him in the face. And I love that. So beautiful.
That is
Such
excellent.
economy of motion.
I can totally dig that. I remember that part. Brett, what do you got?
Jeez.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, there's so
Pass.
much crazy fighting and violence that is enjoyable. But honestly, I think the funniest thing in this whole movie is I didn't know you had a father.
Yeah, saying I didn't know you had a father.
Jim gets a picture of his dad in the mail, and he's telling them about how hard his young life was. And is it YK Kim who says it?
I think he does, yes.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
him.
he's like, Jim, I did not know you had a father. Which is just, I don't know, self-explanatory and hilarious.
But they all are orphans, so. You
I
know.
mean, yeah, but
It's-
you weren't just born by some miraculous incident.
with miraculous science.
Maybe they're all test tube babies too. That was something else we're gonna have to watch again to pick up on.
It's all part
that
of the
ended up on
subtext.
the
Yeah.
editing room floor.
Aaron, what do you got? Favorite part?
All right, I got 2. One
All right, hit
is
me.
the unintentionally funny, and one is the actual series. So the unintentionally funny is the former band that Dragon Sound took over for at the club goes to see the bikers, and the biker gang leader Jeff comes out to talk to them, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And the former band leader says, "We used to play down at the club until the owner kicked us out and the new band beat us up." I'm paraphrasing.
Actually,
but
that's
the way
really
that he
close.
says
Yeah.
it, the way that he says it, it's dead serious. Nobody laughs. Nobody cracks a smile. And he just says it so matter of fact that it's just like, oh, yeah, well, that just happens all the time, doesn't it? So sorry about that, sir. The actual serious one is there's one just super really inspired shot that gives you that really
Yes.
that those chills. So during the middle of another street fight, because there's like 50 fucking street fights in this movie, characters are running around the side of a building, and the camera starts with them, and they run past a bunch of really high bales of 2x4s or something like that.
It's like
And-
pallets or something,
pallets,
like
yeah.
stacked up.
And the camera's tracking with them, and you can see guys running behind the pallets, in front of the pallets, and they're weaving in and out of the pallets. And for whatever reason, every time I watch that, it just gives me that chill of like, ooh, that's a cool shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably, inarguably, the coolest shot. in the whole
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm sure.
Yeah, there's
you know,
no argument there.
That's why I said inarguably.
Yeah.
That's why I agree. No, that makes a lot of sense. I like those parts too. I would say my favorite parts are twofold as well. My throwaway favorite part is towards the end in the very last fight scene. I believe it was YK Kim was fighting with this very overweight guy whose only move was to pick up the giant like roll of something. Could have been wire, could have been an empty roll of something, and just to pick it up and try and throw it at him. And then he failed, and then he just tries again with a different.
It was a sub boss fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was totally not even a mini boss.
No, it was a mini boss. It was a mini boss before he went and fought Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. He was on his way.
Was it
Yeah.
the fight at the cement factory?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just a little fantastic thing. And the other favorite part I will say is,
Well, Tom, I was just going to mention you have a name for that guy, don't you?
I actually we were calling him Meatball. Meatball. What we started to do is there's a little mini game
All the goons.
with the movie, yeah. So there was this game, arcade game, Super Nintendo game, whatever, called Final Fight, and they have all these characters. It's a side-scrolling game, so there's all these characters that come in, and you see the names on the top of the screen as they come in, and they're the stupidest names. Like no one's named that.
Like Meatball.
Yeah, exactly right. So we started to just name all these sidekicks in the vein of Final Fight characters, and I believe there was a Steak, a Dylan,
Dustin,
Glenn, Gravy, Meatball, Bread, who's actually from Final
so
Fight.
many food names.
Well, that's what it is.
Tom, I think you're being pretty ignorant. Maybe Meatball is named after his grandfather, who was a war hero. Why don't you have some fucking respect?
An Italian war hero.
He came
I
over
apologize.
at Ellis Island, and they named him Meatball.
Yeah, really.
His name was two Italians. Just called him Meatball.
What's your name, Micheletti? No, you're Meatball. Move it along.
You're Meatball now.
Welcome to America.
I know, we have
Go start a bakery.
we have 1,000 years of family history. You can't just do that to us. Yeah, well, we just did. Move on. Come on, let's go.
My other favorite part would be, and it's not even because it's particularly good, but it's awesome, and that's like some of the editing during the fighting scenes is just, I just love it. I don't know why. Some of the stuff's so great, and the quick close-ups and all that stuff. Oh, it's just fantastic. So I would say that would be my other favorite part. Would just be some of the fight scene editing stuff. What do you got, Eric?
I got another favorite one that I almost forgot to mention.
All right, hit me.
The very final card that's displayed on screen after the movie ends, after we've seen a brutal decapitation and like someone gets stabbed to death, says, "Only through the elimination of violence can we achieve world peace." This movie is wonderful.
We got one more.
Sorry, yeah. So after the final ninja battle, and then they bring Jim to the hospital, and he meets his dad. The dad is fucking awesome. He's so fake old. They just like spray painted his head and his mustache and his eyebrows white, and they're like, "All right, you're an old black dude now. Just sell it." That was awesome.
Yeah,
That guy was awesome.
And they had to have, because of the alternate ending, they had to have scrambled to cast that guy because he wasn't in the original script.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so he's not a good actor.
And there was one other thing that made
All right.
It wasn't like funny. I thought it was funny at first because I was like, "Oh, the budget must have been terrible." But then I thought about it in context of the movie, and I was like, "Wow, that's really sad." One of their blankets, one of their beds had a U-Haul blanket on it.
What?
Oh,
I didn't
And I was
notice
like,
that.
"Oh man, they were just scrounging for props for this movie." And then I was like, "Oh my god, but they're orphans and they have to use a U-Haul blanket. That's so
They're
sad."
sleeping on Fernie pads.
Oh god, I was so sad.
That's awful. I didn't even notice that.
I know.
That's a
Kind
good
of put a
touch.
damper on my evening.
Yeah, no, once you realize that they're just dirt poor. You know?
But that guy has so much gold jewelry.
I know, everything's just a terrible contradiction in this movie. You know, it's just it's the
5
embodiment.
dudes and a half gallon of milk. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
not a single lady to be found.
I know. Bummer.
Yeah, well, the film is the embodiment of the eye for an eye philosophy.
The
as it
Hammurabi's
were.
code,
Yeah,
if you
exactly,
will.
exactly. It's we're gonna say only through the elimination of violence can we achieve world peace. But the only way to eliminate that violence is to kick the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Fuck violence up. So let's move on and let's rate it, right? I don't know how familiar you are with rating our movies, Aaron, but let's go ahead and say that there are 3 tiers to these movies. You can give it a fuck yeah, you can give it a fuck off, or a fuck you, and then there's a million different colors in between.
You used to have to phrase it in the form of a fuck.
It just needs to be phrased in the form of a
What the
fuck.
fuck?
You can give it a what the fuck. You can give it a fucking fine. But our 3 bases are right there, and have at it. So, Aaron, with that, you can kick it off.
Okay, I give this movie a oh my god, my fucking father. Oh my god.
I'll allow it. I'll accept it. Eric, what do you got?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I
genuine fuck yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like every week on the show I'm always saying this movie is so 80s, it's so great because it's so 80s. This one might be one of the most 80s things I've ever seen. It's phenomenal. This thing is just covered in just neon. It's just dripping with neon.
It's literally the best 80s movie.
Yeah, it's up there. It grabs everything that's great about these films and just kind of crams it in without understanding what the hell it's doing, and somehow it works.
Not a damn clue.
Yeah, it
No.
takes itself 0% seriously, I think.
Oh, I think that's it does.
I think it's
it takes
it's
itself super serious.
Totally.
Nobody
Certain-
cracks a smile.
See,
No,
I think certain parties take it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
But overall,
Yeah,
it's just like...
YK Kim thought he was making something like genuine, and he was really trying to sell this philosophy.
the bikers, on the other hand, were drunk and high on PCP.
I think he just got actual bikers.
Yes.
Because
Oh,
those
yeah.
are the most
Oh,
believable actors in the movie.
definitely
So
did.
many old lady boobs.
Oh, dude, my internal tick clock. That's right. I forgot about that. I knew when those boobs were coming to the frame. I was like, shouldn't there be boobs now? And then boom.
Boobs.
Then boobs. There they were. I'm gonna give this movie a fuck yeah because I just can't get enough of it. It's so good. I would recommend anyone to watch it. If you like, even if you don't like these kinds of movies, watch this one, and
Yeah.
maybe it might turn you over because it's enjoyable, and it's just everything about it's genuine, and yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's like in the upper echelon of B movies.
Agreed.
Even people that don't like them totally get down on this movie.
I agree.
Hall of Fame.
Brett, what do you
That's why
got?
I give it a fuck yeah, too.
All right.
Yeah.
A fuck yeah.
It does everything wrong right.
Yeah.
It's the one ingredient for a B movie.
Yep.
Everything wrong right.
Totally agree. All right. Are there any final thoughts that we kind of want to throw on the table? I have one, but if you guys don't, I just know, guys, we're gonna be friends forever.
For all eternity.
Friends
yeah.
forever. We'll be together.
We'll be together. Yeah.
through thick and thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff with you guys. You guys are my dragon sound. So thank you.
We're
I
missing.
really want a Dragon Sound t-shirt.
Oh
like,
my God.
so
That'd be great.
badly.
So are we moving on? We don't have any more final thoughts?
I think I'm good.
We're good.
All right. So let's go into first class failures.
Now boarding first class failures.
All right, our new segment, First Class Failures, is when we're going to briefly discuss a movie that we watched that kind of didn't deserve an episode or, it's just not really that good.
Yeah, not even necessarily bad, especially in the case of this movie, but just something not really worth talking about. Not much beat. Really,
Yeah, exactly. Nothing that you really want to sink your teeth into. And the first movie that we watched, it was last weekend, and it was Operation Cobra.
You didn't call it Operation Commando. I appreciate
Not this
that.
time.
Yeah, Operation Cobra, 1997, alternate title Inferno.
Uh-huh.
And it's a good movie when it's got an alternate title. Directed by Fred Olen Ray and starring Don the Dragon Wilson. Kind of a knockoff James Bond romp.
Yeah.
Very derivative, very familiar GoldenEye and Living Daylights territory. It's I wouldn't recommend watching it if you haven't seen those movies before. It might be worth the trouble if you have, just to kind of point out, like, oh, they took that from that, and they took that from that. This is a movie's complete ripoff. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, when we had gone to the flea market and actually purchased this movie, we posted a picture of our haul, and Len Kabazinski actually mentioned this movie and said it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And so we actually gave it a watch.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I mean, it's just
No,
really
it's not.
It's just derivative as all hell. That's all.
I think I paid attention to the first 5 minutes, and then I was like, this is awful.
I'd say-
0% interest.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
went to sleep.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend this one.
Watch GoldenEye, watch Living Daylights. Much better use of your time.
You get the same effect. And the other movie that's going to be on the list is going to be called City Dragon, which we won't even talk about because we didn't even finish it.
It was so bad, it's not even going to be on the failure segment. So take that to the bank.
The best part of the movie is the cover, and you can look at that for free.
Do we have any more additions to this first class failures section? Aaron's got one.
What do you got?
I saw a film on Netflix not too long ago called Come Back to Me.
Okay.
It was a horror film that came out last year, directed by Paul Ledden, I believe. It was just incredibly obnoxious. It was the typical woman with problems, starts to see things, and has to go on the mystery search to find out what this horror could possibly be, and it was just grade A obnoxious from
Oh
beginning
man,
to
I
end.
have that on my queue. I'll have to boot it.
I recommend you watch it, but you just angry up the blood if you do. So.
Oh man, is
Yeah.
it like that?
Oh,
That
it's,
kind of
Get it
bad?
boiling?
it's just real obnoxious stuff. And then the end comes around, and they just went, yeah, fuck it, this is it, done, moving on. And then they got
no.
sick of their own fucking movie at the end of it.
Oh, they Death Raiders.
No, that movie was awesomely, intentionally had a great ending.
So I'm speaking for myself, not for these guys, because they have not had the displeasure of seeing it. But so actually, this is a challenge. It's a challenge.
Oh,
for
so
you three.
we're getting challenged
Yeah,
now?
you're getting challenged to watch this pile of steaming.
All right, so this might come up on the next segment. With
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So that's it. You've been listening to Second Class Cinema. We watched Miami Connection from 1987, the YK Kim New American Dream, everyone.
Thanks for being our guest, Aaron.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by, Aaron.
I had a blast watching this movie.
This movie's always a good time.
It was great.
Aaron's always a good time.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Aaron says he enjoyed himself on podcast.
Jesus Christ. Not this guy.
Not this guy.
I hate quote guy.
Editor for the paper.
Crazy Dave and Crazy Legs.
Oh, yeah, Crazy Legs. I really appreciate his contributions to this movie.
Crazy Legs was a bad guy in Death Wish 3.
Was he really?
No.
Oh, I thought you were serious. I was like, no fucking way. So you can find more information about Second Class Cinema on Facebook at facebook.com/Second Class Cinema. We are on Twitter at 2ND Class Podcast, the number 2 ND Class Podcast on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. You can email us, secondclasscinema@gmail.com. Yeah, basically you can find us on all of those locations.
Tinder.
Yeah.
Swipe right, guys.
Yes, dude, give it
We
SEC.
could really use your swipe rights.
Plenty of fish.
I'd appreciate that. Also want to give a quick shout out to the Three Knock Theater crew. They're doing kind of the same type of thing we're doing. They're reviewing movies on YouTube as their podcast. There are some pretty nice people over there.
Awesome.
So just
Cool.
wanted to say thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Shout out.
And I'm pretty sure that's it. It's over. We can go home.
Thank you and good night.
Fuck it.
My father! I found my father! Oh my God! Roger! What'd you say? Father found my father! Okay. God, that was a good one. Oh, father, you got it!